What is up, Earthnoids and Space Noids? I am just a simple Newtype, and we are returning to the final volume of Tomino's original vision, Volume 3, Mobile Suit Gundam Confrontation. Last volume was kind of a repeat of the first volume, if we're being honest. But rather than Lala, this time it was Cusco Al. Just like Lala, she was killed by Amuro and her Elmith. Amuro and Sayla started hooking up. They linked up with a Cosmo Fighter squad and fought against Char's Newtype squad. We are reaching the final push towards Bawaku. This time, the 127th regroups and pushes towards Bawaku, but Dozel gets in the way. Amuro goes up against the Big Zam, and we see peak Tomino weirdness amongst Amuro and the boys. So let's get into this. We start this volume off hot. Gihren says, so we're gonna attack Bawaku and get rid of Dozel and Kycilia. Then I could rule Zeon post-war. Gihren is working with Side 6 for peace post-war as well. This is told from the perspective of Gihren's right-hand man, Chapman. He thinks to himself, man, we're all gonna die. He's gonna kill me eventually. I am so screwed. Chapman says that they need 3 days until the system can be ready, but there are already protests. They need to make it function ASAP. He is wondering if he should go against Gihren or work closely with him. On the one hand, he will become second-in-command to Zeon without the other Zabi siblings. But Gihren already threw one of his aides under the bus. It will eventually happen to him. The novel goes on about the creation of colonies. But one nugget we learn from this is that Side 3's climate is based off of Earth's northern hemisphere. People who come from tropical climates tend not to fit in well on Side 3. Gihren in the novel is constantly thinking about expansion. In space, space isn't a problem like on Earth. His philosophy is the space version of Manifest Destiny, but in the name of Zeonism instead of God. He looks out at Mahal. An interesting note here is that Frederick Schott actually translates this to Mahar. But we all agree it's Mahal at this point, right? It has been evacuated for the System Project and was able to do so by claiming the people were blessed children of Zeon. Gihren is so butthurt that Daegwon called him a second-rate Hitler. He seems to see himself more on the level of Napoleon. Daddy must be jealous, he thinks. Chalya Bull is acting as a spy for Gihren as he works for Kycilia's Newtype Corps. Chalya is the only person that made Gihren think that perhaps Newtypes are a real thing. He quotes Daikun's Newtype theory. While the Zabis were gaining real power on Side 3, it was Zeon Deikun who became the celebrity. He was a direct challenge to the authority of the Federation. Being friends at the time, the Zabis helped build up Daikun as they created their own republic. UC 0065 became known as the Black Years, as Gihren created a Black Ops army that took out over 200,000 people from an anti-Daikun faction. So he's also taking a page out of Stalin's playbook. The only other place that moderately hints at this Black Ops team is in a side story from Gundam Origin, where we see Gihren and Sasuro carrying out shady things. His secret police is what allowed Gihren to gain so much power to begin with. He mentions that Sasuro died during the struggle against the Daikun faction once they became enemies. In Gundam Origin, it is insinuated that Kycilia killed him. Anyways, roll the clip where he blows up. He regrets his death. Ultimately, this is because Gihren is a secret police at heart, and he believes Sasuro would have been better suited for the political part of the job. Gihren just wants to get back to his roots of stealing people in the middle of the night. Ramba Rao of the secret police arrives at Giren's office. Time for some shots of brandy. He mentions that Chalya Bull's reports seem quite shallow and run-of-the-mill. There is a direct line in this book that says Ramba Rao's mustache trembles, and I laughed so hard. Tomino knows that mustache makes man. He tells him that he believes that Char is one of Zeon Daikun's son who was taken by Jimba Ral years ago. He explains how he fled under the name Eduardo Mas, and eventually infiltrated the Zeon Academy as Char Aznable, which is relatively close to Yas's vision in Gundam Origin. Anyways, here's a clip of the real Char Aznable blowing up. Gihren also tells him that he should marry Clarette Harmine. How did that become Hammond Crowley over time? She says she will marry him once the war is over. Gihren eventually agrees with Ral and thinks Chalya may now be a turncoat. He says, thanks buddy, you gave me a reason to blow up my sister sooner. After dismissing Ral, he looks at the data that was given to him. It has video and images over the years of Char growing in the ranks of Zeon and getting close to Garma. They mentioned that they gave Garma the key in this novel, but in Origin, Char purposefully got himself in trouble so his rank would go down and Garma would get the top ranks. That's the problem with Gundam Origin. It makes Char out to always have a solution for everything like Batman. He then looks into Artesia. After her immigration to Site 7, there was no other intel on her. Char is ultimately the real threat here. Does Kycilia know of his past, he wonders. Also, is he a true Newtype? The boys are mad that Amuro is hooking up with Sayla, but Amuro is kind of over her. He acknowledges that the two of them are just using each other for sex to fulfill the void. Char, being her sister, also is killing his boner. Get over it, dork. He regrets not killing Char when he had the chance. Char's ship, the Madagascar, was damaged during their battle with Amuro. When they returned to the ship after the battle, he took off his mask, which was rare, but he is no longer hiding himself from his men. This is told from the perspective of a man named Leroy who is starting to respect Char. He, Char, and Chalya reflect on whether or not the pilot of the Gundam is a Newtype. Dozle has gained a reputation for treating his men really well. General Revel is upsetting him as they are ignoring Solomon for a Baoku. His men recall when he was out in Azaku during the Battle of Loon. Of course, we saw this moment in Shin Matsunaga's story, as well as a few other places. They are currently undergoing tests for the Big Zam, which Tamino describes as 2 soup bowls glued together. Such illiterate prose, Tamino! He takes off in his ship with the new Big Zam. His pride is forcing him to engage with Revel directly, but instead, they run into the Pegasus 2 and the 127th. Amuro, Hayato, Kai, and Kriya launch. Their team is highly efficient and take down 7 bogies swiftly. Amuro thinks of himself as a samurai and puts himself in a zen-like state. He has to find their flagship, the Gandao, and take it down. There was a throwaway line where Amuro says this isn't like a fantasy movie or a holoscope, and it makes me wonder if Universal Century has their own version of the holodeck. I want to see that. The 4 suits move in a diamond formation and continue their attack, looking for the flagship. The bridge informs Dozle of a unit pushing in fast towards their ship, and is moving like Char. This irritates him. He is ready to get into the Big Zam, which is being towed in the back of the Gandao. Dozle spots the white mobile suit. This must be the one he heard about. Remember, the Gundam in the novels are 100 meters tall like in G-Quux, but the Big Zam is even bigger. That must be one big boy. Amuro's squad approaches the Big Zam. They evade Dozle's attacks. Dozle personally takes control of one of the cannons. He isn't able to get a hit. Amuro's team is working efficiently together. The Big Zam begins flying up. Many of you are hipsters and say that there is no up in space, but Tamino explicitly says that the military uses situational directions depending on the context of the individual. They haven't seen this mobile armor before. The gun cannon fires around the Big Zam while Amuro moves in fast, takes aim, and fires. Dozle is amazed at how fast Amuro is. He tells his crew to flip the bitch, and the Big Zam turns upside down. Kriya has Amuro's back in the gym. He only joined the team after the incident at Texas Colony. Why are you telling me about Kriya's past? Don't take him away from me, Tamino! So anyways, Kriya and Amuro move in for a second attack. They are able to take out the Big Zam's leg, but the giant chicken hits and takes down Kriya. Damn it, Tamino. The Big Zam melts Amuro's shield. He goes for the top of the Big Zam. He fires and realizes an aura coming off the unit, as though it is a ghost. Then suddenly bullets hit the fuselage of the Gundam. Amuro realizes a man is standing on top of the Big Zam firing a rifle. Remember, the Big Zam is 3 times bigger here, making it even harder to see a tiny human standing there. The aura is coming from this man. Amuro fires and vaporizes Dozle and the Big Zam. In his final moments, he thinks of his wife, Narcy, and his son, Minerva. The 127th continues for a Baoku, but if they take out any ships from the Vanguard, they may have to alter course and change plans. Baoku's base commander, Randolph Weigelman, is on the level of Kycelia and Dozle, and also one that Gihren wants killed off for his post-war reign. Revel wants to minimize forces by ending this swiftly. A Baoku's first wave is satellite missiles, which are cheap but efficient. After the missiles, the Federation begins to fan out and surround the asteroid base. Revel wants to find a weak point and push through. However, someone botched his orders and many retreat on accident. Whoops. Meanwhile, Bright on the Pegasus says, why is everyone retreating and leaving us? In order to save face, the retreating ships want to handle the remaining Solomon forces. This leaves Bright in the dark. The 203rd tries to rescue a crew nearby. They hail Bright. He says that they must support the Photofac fleet. Bright ordered the crew to return to ship. Meat-Eye tells him not to relax just yet. Bright says, damn it, can I please have a moment? She reminds him that Kriya just died. Somehow, Bright will find this attractive. Their banter isn't as cute in the novel. Amuro's team is going back out soon. They use their time to change out their underwear. This is the 3rd time Tamino mentions switching out underwear. Ball sweat sounds like a huge problem. Any fighter pilots watching these videos? Is ball sweat a problem? They couldn't mourn Kriya's death. The others tease Amuro for not having an amulet from Salem Ass. But he reminds them they aren't really dating, and it isn't like that. But this upsets Kai, so he says, screw it, I'll go ask Sayla for you. Now you must be wondering, what is an amulet? You must be thinking, oh, it sounds like when a boy gives a girl a Letterman's jacket or something like that. Something wholesome, you know? Wrong! An amulet is when a girl gives a guy a lock of her pubic hair. Tamino. I know this is a Victorian era thing, but Tamino, come on, man. First of all, I'm not about clean shaven, but a lock of pubes might be too much pubes. Might be time to shave. The 70s were wild, man. Kai tells Sayla to come to the briefing room. He shows off a notebook with his amulet, but he won't tell them who gave it to him. You would think that Bright would call these kids an idiot, but Bright actually calls Amuro an idiot. He says, yeah, go get that amulet, bro. I guess they take it seriously. Amuro asks Sayla. She says, "You serious right now?" She just leaves, so Amuro lies to Kai and says Sayla promised not to show him. This gives him an out, but Amuro wished he actually did get an amulet. Gross. And that will do it for this episode. This is it. We reached the highest peak on Tomino Mountain. You can't get more Tomino than this moment right here. It's all downhill from here is what I'm saying. It's been a good run. Amulets. Jesus Christ, Tomino. Next time, Amuro thinks that if Newtypes help win the war, they will be viewed as monsters. So what if both EFF and Zeon's Newtypes team up to take down Gihren? Amuro suggests to Bright that they go against Protocol and work with the Red Comet himself. But that will do it for now, Newtypes. Remember, don't ask a girl for an amulet. Peace.